My ex-wife demanded I pay for her retirement, even though she cheated 20 years ago. My ex-wife called me last month asking for money. Not a small amount either. She wanted me to help fund her retirement because she's struggling financially and I'm doing well. This is the same woman who cheated on me with my former best friend 20 years ago, took half of everything in the divorce, and hasn't spoken to me since except through lawyers. Now she's telling our mutual friends and family that I ruined her life financially, that I was vindictive in the divorce, that I owe her support. She's leaving out the part where she walked away with over $400,000 while I had to rebuild my entire life from scratch. But I kept every document from that divorce, and when she tried to turn my own family against me, I shared those documents in a group chat. Suddenly, nobody believed her sob story anymore. Let me give you the full background because you need to understand what happened 20 years ago to appreciate how bold this woman is being now. My name's David. I'm 58 years old. My ex-wife's name is Stephanie. She's 56. We got married when I was 25 and she was 23. Young, in love, full of plans for the future. We had what I thought was a good marriage for about 13 years. We both worked. I was in tech sales. She was a dental hygienist. We bought a house together in 1995. We talked about having kids but kept putting it off because we were focused on our careers and enjoying our freedom. Looking back, there were signs that things weren't perfect. Stephanie was always a bit status conscious. She cared a lot about what other people thought, about keeping appearances, about having nice things. She'd get upset if our friends bought a bigger house or a nicer car than us. She was competitive in a way that sometimes felt exhausting. But I loved her. I thought we were partners. I thought we were building a life together. In 2004, when I was 38 and she was 36, everything fell apart. I came home early from a business trip. My flight got canceled and I was rebooked on an earlier one. I didn't bother calling Stephanie to let her know. I figured I'd just surprise her. The surprise was on me. I walked into our bedroom and found my wife in bed with my best friend. Not just my best friend, the guy who'd been the best man at our wedding, the guy we spent every weekend with, the guy I trusted completely. The scene that followed was ugly. Lots of yelling, crying, accusations. Stephanie tried to minimize it at first, said it had just happened once, she didn't know what she was thinking, she still loved me. That might have been forgivable. People make mistakes. But then I found emails. They'd been having an affair for over a year. Regular meetings at hotels when I was traveling for work, romantic messages about their future together, plans to eventually leave their respective spouses and be together openly. This wasn't a one-time mistake, this was a full-blown affair with the person I trusted most in the world. I filed for divorce immediately. Stephanie was shocked. She had apparently expected me to forgive her, to work on the marriage, to try couples counseling. When she realized I was serious about divorcing, she got angry. That's when the real Stephanie came out. She hired an aggressive divorce attorney. She fought me on everything. She wanted half of all our assets, despite the fact that she had been the one who destroyed the marriage. The divorce took almost 2 years to finalize. It was brutal, expensive, and emotionally devastating. Here's what the final settlement looked like. We'd bought our house for $185,000 in 1995. By 2004, it was worth about $420,000. We still owed it about $120,000 on the mortgage, so there was $300,000 in equity. Stephanie got the house, all of it. I had to sign over my half of the equity to her. So she walked away with a $420,000 house that was nearly paid off She just had to cover the remaining $120,000 mortgage. We had about $150,000 in combined savings and retirement assets. That got split 50-50. She got $75,000, I got $75,000. We had 2 cars. She kept the newer, nicer one, worth about $28,000. I kept the older one, worth about $12,000. And because Stephanie's income as a dental hygienist was significantly lower than mine, I had to pay her alimony, $2,000 per month for 5 years. That's $120,000 total in alimony payments. Let me add that up for you. Stephanie walked away from our marriage with a house worth $420,000, with only $120,000 left on the mortgage, net value $300,000, $75,000 in cash and retirement assets, a car worth $28,000, $120,000 in alimony over 5 years. Total, over $520,000 in assets and payments. I walked away with $75,000 in cash and retirement assets, a car worth $12,000, the obligation to pay $2,000 per month for 5 years. And I had to start over completely, find a new place to live, furnish it, rebuild my life at 38 years old. But I did it. I worked my ass off. I advanced in my career. I was smart with my money. I invested well. I lived modestly and focused on rebuilding. Over the next 20 years, I did well for myself. I'm a regional sales director now. I make a good income. I bought a condo, paid it off, recently upgraded to a nice house. I've got a solid retirement fund. I'm financially comfortable. I also remarried about 10 years ago to a wonderful woman named Janet. We have a great relationship built on trust and honesty, everything my first marriage lacked. As for Stephanie, I heard things through mutual friends over the years. She and Carl did end up together for a while, but they broke up after about 3 years. She went through a series of relationships after that. She sold the house I'd given her in the divorce for a profit, but apparently spent most of that money on lifestyle expenses and bad investments. I didn't keep close tabs on her life. I'd moved on. She was my past, and I was happy with my present. Until last month, when she called me out of nowhere. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "David, it's Stephanie." I was so shocked I didn't say anything for a moment. "Are you there?" she asked. "Yeah, I'm here," I said. "This is unexpected. What do you want?" "I need to talk to you about something important. Do you have a few minutes?" Every instinct told me to hang up, but curiosity got the better of me. "Go ahead." "I'm turning 56 this year. I'm looking at retirement in the next few years, and I'm not in a great position financially. I've been thinking about our divorce, and I realized that the settlement wasn't really fair." "The settlement where you got over $500,000 in assets and alimony wasn't fair?" "That money's gone. The house money, the savings, all of it. And meanwhile, you've done very well for yourself. You have that nice house. You're still working in a high-paying job. It's not right that you're comfortable while I'm struggling." "Stephanie, we've been divorced for 20 years. Whatever financial situation you're in now is not my responsibility." "But it kind of is," she insisted. "We were married for 13 years. I supported your career. I made sacrifices. And then the divorce left me in a difficult position." "The divorce that happened because you cheated on me for over a year with my best friend? That divorce?" "That was 20 years ago," she said, as if the timeline made it irrelevant. "We're both older now. We should be mature about this. I need help, and you're in a position to help me." "How much are you asking for?" I asked, morbidly curious. "I think $3,000 a month would be reasonable. just until I can get on my feet, maybe for the next 5 to 10 years until I can access my Social Security fully. I did the math in my head. She was asking for $180,000 to $360,000. That's insane, I said. I'm not giving you money. We're divorced. You got your settlement. What you did with it after that is your problem. But you really should reconsider, she said. And her tone shifted to something harder. We have mutual friends, mutual family. I'd hate for people to get the wrong impression about how you've treated me. Was she threatening me? Is that a threat? I asked directly. It's not a threat, she said. I'm just saying that people might be interested to know that your ex-wife is struggling financially while you're living comfortably and you're refusing to help. They might also be interested to know that you cheated on me, took over $500,000 in the divorce, and now want more money 20 years later. Tell whatever story you want, she said. But I think you'll find people are sympathetic to a struggling woman approaching retirement age. She hung up. I sat there for a long time processing that conversation. Was she really going to try to extort money from me by threatening my reputation? I told Janet about it that night. She was furious. She has some nerve, Janet said. After what she did to you, after what she got in the divorce, she's asking for more money? And threatening to badmouth me to our mutual friends if I don't pay? I added. You're not going to pay her, right? Janet asked. Hell no, I said. But I have a feeling this isn't over. I was right. About a week later, I started getting calls from family members. First was my cousin Andrea. Hey, I ran into Stephanie at the grocery store. She said you two had talked recently. Yeah? She called me asking for money, I said. She said she'd reached out to see if you could help her with some financial difficulties, Andrea said carefully. She seemed pretty upset. She said you were really harsh with her. Did she mention why she needed money? I asked. She said the divorce settlement 20 years ago left her in a bad position and she's been struggling ever since, Andrea said. She made it sound like you'd gotten everything and left her with nothing. My blood started to boil. That's not even close to true. I'm not taking sides, Andrea said quickly. I just wanted to check in with you. She seemed genuinely distressed. After Andrea, it was my Uncle Paul. Then my brother's wife, then a couple of mutual friends from 20 years ago who I barely kept in touch with. The story Stephanie was telling all of them was the same. The divorce had been financially devastating for her. I'd gotten most of the assets because I had better lawyers. She'd been struggling for 20 years while I thrived. Now she was facing retirement with almost nothing, and when she'd reached out for help, I'd been cold and cruel. She was painting herself as the victim and me as the villain. And she was leaving out every important detail. The cheating, the actual settlement terms, the alimony, the house, all of it. I was furious, but I also knew that trying to defend myself individually to every person she'd contacted would be exhausting and ineffective. I needed a different approach. I called my divorce attorney, the one who'd handled everything 20 years ago. He still had all my files. I asked him to send me copies of the complete divorce settlement documents. 3 days later, I had a PDF with everything. The property division, the asset split, the alimony terms, all of it. Clearly documented, legally certified, impossible to dispute. Then I found out Stephanie had escalated even further. My brother called me. David, I need to talk to you about Stephanie. What did she tell you? I asked, resigned. She didn't tell me anything directly, but Mom called me. Stephanie reached out to Mom and Dad. My parents are in their 80s. They're old-fashioned and don't deal well with conflict. The idea of Stephanie dragging them into this made me see red. "What did she say to them?" I asked. "She told them she was in a desperate financial situation and you were refusing to help her even though you owed her. My mom is really upset. You know how she is. She doesn't like family conflict, and she feels bad that Stephanie is struggling." Stephanie got over $500,000 in our divorce. This is not my problem. "I believe you," my brother said, "but you might want to talk to Mom and Dad directly, clear this up." That's when I made my decision. I wasn't going to let Stephanie control the narrative anymore. I created a family group chat. Everyone who Stephanie had contacted, my parents, my brother and his wife, my cousin Andrea, Uncle Paul, and a few mutual friends from 20 years ago who I barely kept in touch with. I sent a message. "I want to address what Stephanie has been telling people about our divorce and her current financial situation. Rather than trying to explain this to everyone individually, I'm sharing the actual divorce settlement documents. Please read them before forming any opinions about who owes what to whom." Then I attached the PDF of the complete settlement. The response was immediate. My brother: "Holy shit, she got the house?" Andrea: "Wait, you paid her $120,000 in alimony on top of everything else?" Uncle Paul: "She got over $500,000 and she's claiming you left her with nothing?" My brother's wife: "This is insane. She lied to all of us." My mom called me directly, which she almost never does. She usually has my dad call. "David, I had no idea. Stephanie made it sound like you'd been vindictive and taken everything. I'm so sorry we believed her." "It's fine, Mom. She's a convincing liar. She always was." "She called us saying she was desperate, that she might lose her apartment, that she needed help and you were the only one who could help her. Your father and I actually talked about sending her some money." My stomach dropped. "Please tell me you didn't." "We didn't. We wanted to talk to you first. Thank God we did." Over the next few days, people went from sympathetic to Stephanie to outright angry at her. Andrea sent me a screenshot of a text exchange she had had with Stephanie after seeing the documents. Andrea had confronted her about lying, and Stephanie had responded with a bunch of excuses. The money from the house had gone to medical bills, she'd had bad luck with investments, the economy had been tough, she didn't have the same career opportunities I did. Andrea's response was perfect. "You got over $500K 20 years ago and spent it all. That's not David's fault. That's your fault. Don't contact me asking for sympathy again." Two of the mutual friends Stephanie had contacted reached out to apologize to me for even questioning whether I should help her. They said they had no idea about the real story and felt manipulated. But Stephanie wasn't done yet. She sent me an email. Subject line: "You've made your point." The email read, "I know you sent those documents to everyone. You've successfully made me look bad. I hope you're proud of yourself. I reached out to you in good faith, hoping we could help each other as mature adults, and you turned everyone against me. You've always been vindictive. This is exactly why our marriage failed." I almost responded. Almost pointed out that our marriage failed because she cheated. Almost explained that I'd only shared the truth after she lied about me to my family and friends. But I didn't. I just deleted the email. Janet said I should block her number and her email. She was probably right. But part of me wanted to see if Stephanie would try anything else. She did. About 2 weeks after I shared the documents, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I answered. "Is this David?" A woman's voice I didn't know. "Who's calling?" I asked. "My name is Ruth. I'm Stephanie's friend. She asked me to call you because she says you won't talk to her." I sighed. "What does she want?" She wants you to know that she's really struggling, Ruth said. She might have exaggerated some things when she talked to your family, but the core truth is that she's in a bad financial situation and she thought you might be willing to help. I'm not, I said. Don't you feel any sense of responsibility? Ruth asked. You were married for 13 years. We were married for 13 years that ended because she cheated on me, I said. And she got an extremely generous divorce settlement. What she did with that money is not my concern. She's going to be destitute in retirement, Ruth said. Can you really live with that? Yes, I said simply. I can, because it's not my fault and it's not my responsibility. Is there anything else? Ruth hung up on me. Janet had been listening to my side of the conversation. She got a friend to call you? That's desperate. She's running out of options, I said. Nobody who knows the truth is on her side. A few days later, my brother called me laughing. You're not going to believe this. What? Stephanie posted on Facebook about her financial struggles. She wrote this whole thing about how people abandon you when you need them most, how she'd reached out to someone from her past for help, and they'd refused because of pride and old grudges. Did she name me? I asked. No, but it was pretty obvious who she meant, my brother said. Anyway, someone commented asking for more details, and Stephanie made the mistake of explaining that it was her ex-husband and they'd been divorced for 20 years. Let me guess, I said. People weren't sympathetic? The comments are brutal, my brother said. People are asking why she thinks her ex-husband should support her 20 years after a divorce. Someone asked if she had gotten alimony in the divorce, and she said yes. Then someone else asked why she needed more money if she'd gotten a settlement and alimony. She ended up deleting the whole post. I checked Facebook out of curiosity. The post was gone, but I could see Stephanie had also made her profile much more private. Things went quiet for a couple weeks after that. I thought maybe Stephanie had finally given up. Then I got a letter in the mail from a law office. My heart sank. Was she actually suing me? I opened it. It was a letter from an attorney representing Stephanie, stating that she was requesting a modification of our divorce settlement based on changed circumstances, specifically that she was facing financial hardship while I had increased earning capacity. I immediately called my attorney. Can she do this? I asked. Can she actually sue to modify a divorce settlement from 20 years ago? He said, she can file. Whether she'll succeed is another matter. Divorce settlements are generally final. Alimony can sometimes be modified, but she'd have to prove extreme circumstances, and besides, your alimony obligation ended 15 years ago. She has no legal basis for this. So what do I do? We'll file a response, he said. Point out that the settlement was fair, was executed 20 years ago, that all obligations have been fulfilled, and that her current financial situation is not your responsibility. This will probably get dismissed pretty quickly. He was right. 2 months later, a judge dismissed Stephanie's motion. The judge's order stated that the divorce settlement had been finalized 20 years ago, all terms had been satisfied, and there was no legal basis for modification. The judge also noted that Stephanie had provided no evidence that the original settlement was unfair or that David had any ongoing obligation. My attorney sent me a copy of the order. At the bottom, he'd written, "That should be the end of it." But it wasn't quite the end. About a week after the judge's dismissal, I got a voicemail from Stephanie. Her voice sounded different, defeated, tired. David, I know you're probably not going to call me back, but I wanted to say something. The judge dismissed my case. My lawyer said I have no other legal options. I'm not going to bother you anymore, but I want you to know that I'm genuinely struggling, and I genuinely thought you might help me. Not because you had to, but because we spent 13 years of our lives together, and that should mean something. I guess it doesn't to you. I guess the affair destroyed everything, which maybe is fair. I don't know anymore. Anyway, I won't contact you again. She hung up. Janet asked me if I felt bad. The honest answer was complicated. Did I feel bad that Stephanie was struggling financially? On a human level, sure. I don't want anyone to suffer. But did I feel responsible for fixing it? No, absolutely not. She made choices. She chose to cheat. She chose to end our marriage. She chose to take a massive settlement and apparently spend it all. She chose to lie to my family about me. She chose to try to manipulate and pressure me into giving her money. Those were all her choices, and the consequences were hers to deal with. I'd rebuilt my life after she destroyed it 20 years ago. I'd worked hard, been smart with money, and created the comfortable situation I was in now. That wasn't something I owed her access to. My brother asked me a few weeks later if I thought Stephanie would be okay. I said I didn't know, and I didn't think it was my job to know. He said, "Fair enough." It's been about 3 months now since this all started. I haven't heard from Stephanie again. I assume she's moved on to other options, family, friends, government assistance, whatever she needs to do. I don't feel guilty. I did what I was supposed to do. I paid her alimony for 5 years like the settlement required. I gave her half of everything we built together, even though she was the one who destroyed the marriage. I fulfilled every obligation. What she did with her life after that was her choice. I think about the alternate universe where I'd said yes to her request, where I'd agreed to send her $3,000 a month indefinitely. Would it ever have been enough? Would she have always needed more? Would I have spent the rest of my life paying for choices she made decades ago? I'm glad I'll never have to find out. Janet says I did the right thing. My family says I did the right thing. My attorney says I did the right thing. And honestly, I know I did the right thing. Stephanie wanted to rewrite history. She wanted to pretend the divorce settlement was unfair, that I owed her something, that her financial problems were my responsibility. But the documents don't lie. The facts don't lie. She got an extremely generous settlement, and what she did with it over 20 years was entirely up to her. Some people never take responsibility for their own choices. They always need someone else to blame, someone else to rescue them. I'm not that someone for Stephanie. Not anymore. Not ever again. My advice to anyone in a similar situation: keep your divorce documents. Keep records of everything. Because years later, when your ex rewrites history and tries to make themselves the victim, you'll have proof of the truth. And don't let guilt manipulate you into taking responsibility for someone else's bad choices. You paid what you owed. You did what was required. What they did after that is on them. I'm 58 years old. I've got a good job, a good marriage, a comfortable life. I earned all of it through hard work and smart decisions. Stephanie's 56 years old, facing a difficult retirement. That's unfortunate, but it's not my problem to solve. And I'm completely at peace with that.